That's right. We are here today to deliver a message to the genocidal war criminals of this settler state, hiding behind the barricades as our people are being slaughtered in Gaza. We are not only the red line, we are a ring of fire, and we will not be crossed. To the colonial, racist, and imperialist feminists of the world, yet again, you have weaponized the language of women's rights to justify another imperialist war. Your time is up. There can be no true feminist movement without the fight against colonialism, imperialism, and Zionism. No feminist struggle without Palestine. No women's freedom without the freedom of Palestinian women and all our people. To our co-strugglers who have and continue to stand with us and our people in our darkest days, Palestine is neither an exception nor a litmus test. Palestine is a compass for revolutionary struggle worldwide. It is a struggle that belongs to every lover of freedom everywhere. Let this compass guide us toward a liberated future for us all. To our steadfast people in Gaza, thank you for teaching us what sumud and defiance and courage and fidelity to freedom looks like in practice. To the Palestinian women of Gaza, thank you for embodying a devotion to life in the most unlivable conditions on this planet. We in the Palestinian Chanting pledge to stand with you and struggle alongside you until this genocide ends, until the siege is lifted and this colonial regime is brought to its knees. From Rafah to Khan Yunis, Deir al-Balah to Al-Quds, Jenin, Al-Khalil, Musafir, Yatta, Nablus, to the refugee camps across the region, and to the Palestinian Shatat everywhere. We promise that we will not rest until all of Palestine is free. And last, our message to the colonizer. You have tried for nearly a century to remove Palestinian presence on the land, to force us to surrender our rights and freedom, to kill us and to crush our steadfastness, resistance, and perseverance. Shame. But generation after generation, we Palestinians are proving that we are still here. We are living proof that torture, displacement, imprisonment, and mass execution do not work. We are more determined than ever to liberate our homeland and return to it. Your settler ideology and state is now in the throes of a political crisis from which there is no return. Your barbaric carpet bombing of Gaza, your starvation of a population of 2.3 million people, half of whom are children, is not a measure of your invincibility, but testament to your weakness in the face of steadfastness. There is no longer a way out for your dying genocidal regime other than through the gates of hell.
This curse within our genes exists as an affirmation of a future where we have won. There is a version of us, days, decades, years from now, enjoying the fruits of our struggle today. There is a version of us that can freely walk from the river to the sea, where the walls of Gaza have fallen and the prisoners of Al-Quds have risen. Where the flag of liberation waves in Yafa, where the Zaghruta echoes in Haifa, where the young and old pray side by side in Al-Aqsa, where the resistance, the struggle becomes nothing but folklore told to the children of the new era, children who only know of the stories of darkness, never experiencing them. A reality that exists in a checkpoint-free Ramallah, a bomb-free Gaza, a prisoner-free Al-Aqsa, and a Zionist-free Palestine. And by us being here today, we exist as an affirmation of that future. Us, the masses of the world, the organizers and intellectuals, the youth and students, the working class and working poor, we are the true moral compass of the present and future. We will continue to draw the lines through our organizing. And as we shut down the streets in red surrounding the White House, we exist as a stark reminder to the ruling class, they do not set the red lines, we do.
My name is Iman, and I am the Director of Advocacy at the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights and a member of the Palestinian Feminist Collective. I am also a daughter of Palestine and a mother to the next generation of freedom fighters. Today marks 8 months of the ongoing genocide in Gaza. 8 months of brutality that no one should ever bear witness to. Shame! We have gathered here together from across the country in DC to make it known to Genocide Joe that his complicity in this genocide has not been forgotten. For 8 months, we have been demanding a total and permanent ceasefire and to stop arming Israel. And yet the administration has doubled down on their support for the genocidal state of Israel. President Biden, you failed the people months ago, and you have failed the people now. You claimed that there was a red line in Israel, if Israel invaded Rafah. And even when Israel bombed Palestinians in displaced tents on May 27th, burning people alive and killing over 50 Palestinians, the White House responded by saying it did not cross the red line. And again, as Nusrat refugee camp was bombed this morning, killing over 200 Palestinians. And as Khan Younis was bombed, and all the hospitals were bombed, it never crossed a red line because there has never been, in fact, a red line. But today, we are the red line, and we will hold that line. This is a genocide committed by Israel and the United States, a genocide that could have been stopped and saved tens of thousands of people's lives if Israel were held accountable for its war crimes. But yet we stand here today as yet another reminder in this moment of our movement that we will not wait around for the administration to make a change, but that we will instead be the ones to force the change. Our people in Palestine need us. Our people in Palestine are depending on us. We have shown up and will continue to show up for all our martyrs, from the babies killed in their mother's womb to the elders who were born in the tents of the first Nakba. We will honor all our people, for those who had to pick up their mothers and fathers piece by piece. We have made it a point today to stand together again, and we will not stop until our people are free. We are the red line. We will hold the line, and we are at the front line of the heart of the empire.
From DMV SJP, please help me welcome Lana. Good afternoon, everyone. I am a student representative speaking on behalf of the DMV Coalition of Students for Justice in Palestine. We are students from George Washington University, George Mason University, American University, Georgetown University, University of Maryland, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Howard University, and Gallaudet University, united for the liberation of Palestine. On May 26th, the murderous Zionist entity, armed and supplied with US-made bombs, unleashed a storm of terror on the people of Rafah, slaughtering our people and burning the tents that they have been forced to seek shelter in. Shame. Just a few months ago, the world erupted in rage over fabricated lies of Israeli beheaded babies. Yet when Palestinian babies like Ahmed al-Najjar are murdered by the ruthless hands of the Zionist and American regimes, the world is silent. These bombs and weapons that are used to destroy our land and our people are supplied by the US and paid for by our universities. Campuses have become cesspools of complicity in the perpetuation of violence and genocide of the Palestinian people. To acknowledge this complicity and hand in the genocide is not enough. The time for empty statements, barely acknowledging the Palestinian people, is over. It is our duty and our responsibility as students to dismantle the very systems that continue to perpetuate imperialism and colonialism. And to do that, we must escalate. Our universities shamelessly invest in companies and programs that are soaked in the blood of our martyrs. These companies manufacture the weapons and bombs that constantly rain down on our people in Gaza and bulldoze the homes in Sheikh Jarrah and the buildings and the entirety of Palestine. Our schools study abroad, internships, and exchange programs are all directly tied to the occupation and attempted erasure of our people. These partnerships attempt to normalize the Zionist entity's apartheid and settler colonial regime with the stamp of approval from our universities. As the students, we refuse to be complicit in these institutions' agendas of destruction and death. We refuse to allow our universities to continue their contributions to the reign of terror on the people of Palestine. We refuse to allow ourselves to be weaponized and used against our own people. For months, The students have been demanding divestment, and across the country, we have seen over 100 encampments have been launched as a means to escalate and pressure the universities to divest from death and meet the student demands. These liberation zones have shown the world what our universities should look like. Communities that look after each other and keep each other safe. That are centered around the liberation of all people and that seek revolutionary learning. The students built the reality of the world that we want to live in. Our liberated zones gave us a small taste of what a liberated Palestine will look like, and our commitment to achieve this is unwavering. Gaza is the heart and compass of our struggle. When Gaza calls, we answer. Every word spoken, every action taken, and every demand we make is for Gaza and for the people of Palestine. We are all here today for Gaza. For Gaza, we must fight. Students of the world unite. For Gaza, we must fight. Students of the world unite. Thank you.
Next, I want to bring to the stage the National Coordinator of the Answer Coalition, Brian Becker.
Sisters and brothers, earlier this morning, in the early hours of the morning in Rafah, the Israeli government, working with the US Pentagon, infiltrated humanitarian trucks coming from the pier that the United States built in order to deliver humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, allegedly. And they have carried out another giant massacre in Rafah just this morning. Just this morning. We are not going to allow genocide to become normalized, to be able to be repeated day in and day out without the government that supports, promotes, finances, and provides the weapons for genocide, knowing that we, the people of the United States, say resoundingly, Joe Biden, you may speak in our name, but not with our consent. We charge you with genocide. There's no crime greater than the crime of genocide. The Genocide Convention was adopted by the United Nations in 1948. It says that genocide is the destruction of a people in whole or in part, not because of what they've done, but because of who they are. The 45,000 Palestinian people who have been murdered in Gaza were killed not because of what they did, but because of who they are, because they are Palestinians. We must say, and we are saying today with this very innovative protest, one of thousands that have gone on, that we have to take it to another level. That we have to say in the most clear language that if Joe Biden's red line was a fiction, that it was a lie, that it was an act of deception, that it was designed to make us become quiet, that instead of that, we are going to become louder and bigger and more militant. Only the people can be the red line. Not the Democrats, not the Republicans, not Wall Street, not the White House, not the Pentagon, not the entire capitalist system. Only we can be the red line against genocide, and that's what we're going to do today. Free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
This is the government of the patriarchs. This is the government of the colonialists. This is the government of the neo-colonialists. This is the government of the settler colonialists. This is the government of the Zionists. This is the government of imperialism, and imperialism must be destroyed. People are saying that the genocide began on October the 7th. But the genocide began long before that. The genocide has been going on since 1917, when them first Zionist terrorists landed in Palestine and started seizing the lands of the Palestinians. This genocide has been going on all the way up to now. And October 7th wasn't the beginning of the genocide. October 7th was the beginning of the end of genocide. October 7th was the exclamation point at the end of genocide. We are watching the illegal, racist state of Israel commit suicide. They are killing themselves. And every bomb they drop, every bullet they fire, every drop of blood they spill only guarantees their destruction. Israel will not last throughout this upcoming period. We've been fighting Israel for a long time. And for a long time, nobody agreed with us. But now the whole world agrees with us. So we want to see if you agree with us. We got 2 words. We want you to say it 7 times. Smash Zionism. 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 As always, we stand ready for the revolution. Thank you very much.
Today, my name is Chris Cerisier, and we stand side by side with struggles across the globe to tell everybody in the White House that we can see them. We can see them for what they are, and that is war criminals. War criminals who deserve to be held accountable for the countless genocides, the countless wars, and the countless crimes they have committed against black and brown people across the globe. We have had it with the wars, and they think that we cannot see them. The children of Palestine are here. The children of Haiti are here. The children of the Congo are here. The children of Puerto Rico are here. Of the Philippines are here. To tell them that we see them. We see them for criminals who deserve to be held accountable in international court. For the world to see. For the world to know that we have seen the crimes they have committed across the world. We say no to war. We say no to bombs. We say no to mines, to planes, to tanks. We say no. We say yes to education. We say yes to food, for care, for community. But we say no to being led by people who only care about funding war. We say end the war in Palestine, end the war in Haiti, end the war in the Congo. Fund people, care for people, care for communities, and hold these criminals accountable. Please, if you have time, if you're in the DMV area, if you care about Palestinians in the globe, join us at Congress every day, Monday to Friday. Every day we are in the halls of Congress demanding that the people who hold these seats do their job and do what their constituents ask them to do. If you're not in the DMV area, if you're in any part of the globe, join our summer school Education for Gaza at Code Pink, please. Please join us in making sure they know that we see them. We see them for what they are doing, and we will come to their face and let them know that the youth is aware. The youth knows. And we will stand every single day until kids are free across the globe.
So many of you have seen us in the halls of Washington, D.C. Raise your hand if you've seen Code Pink. All right, please, if you can join us any day, go to codepink.org events and you can sign up there to know where we are. Join us as we follow and we confront the war criminals to their faces. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Jabur. I'm a co-founder of Doctors Against Genocide. I'm here with my friends and colleagues to join you, the brave people, and to support you, and to tell war criminal Joe Biden that we are his red line. I stand before you today as a doctor and as a voice for the voiceless, a witness to the unspeakable horrors unfolding in Palestine. We are witnessing a genocide, a massacre of innocent lives, of children, of families torn apart by bloodshed and hatred. We at Doctors Against Genocide take our medical mission and our oath very seriously. We were amongst the first to call out this genocide and oppose it head-on, without any fear or hesitation. We refuse to be intimidated. We refuse to be intimidated. The sanctity of a human life is our highest obligation, and we spare no effort in defending and protecting it, come hell or high water. No one has a license to murder children. No one has a license to murder children. No one has a license to murder children. Stopping the murder of children should not be controversial. Stopping the murder of children should not be controversial. Ceasefire should have happened 8 months ago. Every day that goes by without a ceasefire, hundreds of children are injured, murdered, and starved. It's our sacred duty to uphold the sanctity of life, to heal and to protect. Yet, doctors who are apathetic, who have not called for a ceasefire yet, who have not denounced this genocide, don't really value the real meaning of life. To them, you are just a transaction and a business opportunity. You should not trust those doctors. You should not trust them with your life or your children's life or your parents' life. You should find yourself better doctors. Abandon the AMA. Abandon the American Medical Association. abandon the AMA because they are complicit in genocide. The complicity of the American administration that is aiding, abetting, and committing this genocide, the complicit Congress that is threatening the ICC and the ICJ and obstructing justice, must be held accountable. Their hands are stained with the blood of the innocent children, and history will judge them harshly. Abandon Biden. Abandon Trump. Abandon Biden. Abandon Trump. The time for diplomacy has long passed. Genocide has never been stopped through negotiations, diplomacy, or empty promises. We must demand immediate action, decisive intervention to stop the genocide. We call on the United Nations and the United Nations Security Council and the regional powers to deploy peacekeeping forces to protect the innocent, to shield the children and the civilians from this relentless onslaught. Stop the murder of children now. Stop bombing hospitals. Stop killing doctors. Stop killing patients. Stop taking doctors as hostages. Stop taking nurses as hostages. Thank you, South Africa. Thank you, Nicaragua. Thank you, Colombia. Thank you, Yemen. Thank you, Brazil. Thank you, Norway. Thank you, Ireland. Thank you, Spain. Thank you, Slovenia. Thank you, Aaron Bushnell. Thank you, Aaron Bushnell. Thank you, the students. Thank you, the youth. Thank you, Black Lives Matter. Thank you, Global South. Thank you, Gaza. Thank you, Gaza. If I must die, you must live. To tell my story, to sell my things. If I must die, let it bring hope. Let it be a tale. Whoever stays until the end will tell the story. We did all we could. Remember us. We remember you, Dr. Mahmoud Abu Nujaila. We remember you, Dr. Rifat Al-Harir. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. عاشت غزة. Long live Gaza. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Thank you from Palestine. Thank you from Doctors Against Genocide. Victory.
My name is Hannah and I'm an organizer with Maryland to Palestine. We are a grassroots Palestinian-led organization fighting for the liberation of Palestine from DC, Maryland, and Virginia. As organizers in DC, we witness up close institutions like the White House and the puppets that maintain the facade of a democratic government so comfortable with the death of thousands of our people to maintain American imperialism. Shame! We experience the effects of DC's many militarized police forces designed to protect property and not people. Shame! And as a law student, I can confirm that America's legal framework was originated without the welfare of the people in mind. Shame! But our organizing is evidence that we are not seeking solutions in American institutions that glorify war criminals and parade Biden as the lesser of two evils. We are the solution. This moment is emblematic of our conviction that no matter how many bombs they drop on our people, no matter how many of our men they kidnap, no matter how many political prisoners Israel takes, that like Palestinians on the ground, handalna samdin, we will remain steadfast. We have made it our life mission to bring freedom to our people. We are the generation of revolution. And this revolution requires sacrifice. It is by mere luck that you stand here today under clear skies and not under bombs like the people of Gaza. It is by mere happenstance that you know where your family's at right now and you're not scared that they're under the rubble. But we know, and we must ask ourselves, what are we willing to sacrifice from the belly of the beast to stop this destruction? And we know the answer. It is our comfort. We must sacrifice our comfort from the belly of the beast to achieve total liberation for Palestine. Every martyr is worth the sacrifice. Every Palestinian prisoner, every daughter, every father, every mother, every child, every son and daughter is worth the sacrifice. The enemy is prolonging the inevitable. Its collapse and destruction. The Zionist entity proves to us time and time again that it is a failure because it cannot contain the resistance of our people. A stone will always meet the face of an Israeli tank. A freedom fighter will always ascend when a martyr ascends in the heavens. It is inevitable that we will achieve our freedom. It is a matter of time. All it takes is our sacrifice. So long as Biden and Blinken and Austin and all the war criminals continue to move as if they will not face consequences, we will continue to escalate. So long as they continue to act with impunity, we will raise the consequences, no matter what happens. As evidenced as us standing here today, we will continue the fight until we see total liberation for Palestine. In the words of Sana Daqqa, wife of the eternal martyr Walid Daqqa, we create life and they create death. Our legacy must be the rejection of Zionism in any and all of its forms. We stand united in our demand for liberation, the right to return to our ancestral homelands, and a total arms embargo on Israel. Palestinians are deserving of every atom's weight of dedication and sacrifice. So today we renew our commitment to sacrifice for the Palestinian people. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Long live Palestine! Settler, settler, go back home! Palestine is ours alone! Thank you, everyone.
We will not be pushed aside while you're funding genocide. We will not be pushed aside. Stop funding genocide. On behalf of Students for Justice in Palestine at the George Washington University, I am so incredibly proud of the community I see before me today. Once again, we have come together to call for an end to the genocide and make sure Gaza is unavoidable for those who don't already see it everywhere. The streets now echo our sister streets in Rafah, which run red with the blood of our martyrs, their lives claimed on the dime of this genocidal warmonger next to us, as well as the ones that sit at the helms of our universities. Their ivory towers and white houses are forever stained with the blood of our martyrs, a transgression we refuse to let them forget. Those administrators have, after 8 months of genocide, still refused to divest. Today marks exactly 8 months since the genocidal incursion on Gaza and exactly 1 month since the liberated zone at GWU was raided mere blocks from here. Our Shuhada Square was an effort by the entirety of the DMV SJP coalition. Though we are speaking as GW SJP, we wholly reject the siphoning off of our collective. We organized, struggled, and were brutalized as a collective, and we will continue to fight as a collective. We will continue to fight the institution that funds the genocide of our people. Together, we built a world that challenges the imperial core that we occupy and leapt towards a future rooted in liberation, collective care, and radical imagination. In the liberated zone, everyone was housed, fed, and educated. With the bonds we built with the members of our DMV community, we were able to assume the position that students should play in society, not as gentrifiers and settlers, but as a front in the struggle towards collective liberation. President Granberg of GW vilified these very same community members as quote-unquote outside agitators. Granberg, who moved to DC only a year ago, who has no roots in the district, is in fact herself an outside agitator. And it is at her behest that they arrested 33 of my comrades, pepper sprayed community, and suspended students. We changed the narrative, made the language of revolution ubiquitous. We relied on systems of mutual aid to sustain ourselves and subsequently redistribute whatever we didn't need. This culture of radical care and vision was why the administration and the state's coercive apparatus was so vicious in their crackdown. Open classrooms and popular universities deny the capitalist imperative by making education accessible and free to the masses. In short, we proved that the world we want to see is possible. They just want us to believe it isn't. The material aspect of our Shuhada Square may be gone, but the community we built and the resolute struggle we committed to remains. Students nationwide were able to mobilize the community so well because of the parasitic relationship the university has with the locale. Universities everywhere, especially in major cities like New York, LA, and Washington, DC, are vampirical, leeching off the communities they slowly encroach upon and take over through police violence, real estate, and collusion with dirty politicians. University making and state making rely on organized crime. GW and the US are organized crime syndicates that racketeer native populations and create borders around contagious territories. The George Washington University is one of the largest landowners in DC, and it is responsible for gentrifying the heart of the district and displacing entire communities of color. colluding with the American empire and Western imperial control, George Washington University is literally the landlord of the IMF and the World Bank, two of the largest financial institutions in the world that are designed to destroy and exploit the global South. GW is just a microcosm of the larger university disease, though. As long as the university exists within the settler state, its function will always be to sustain the colonial empire. Make no mistake, our universities are weapons manufacturers. They train the agents of empire that staff the halls of the building next to us, the corporations that profit off of our people's genocides. They create the workers that fuel these genocidal institutions and produce the research that develops the weapons that are used to kill our people. These universities co-opt our bodies, our faces, and our situations within the imperialist, militarist, and murderous web they have. This web is caught up across the globe, entangling itself with weapons manufacturers, the Oval Office, and the occupation itself. This web holds together a machine that tests weapons of destruction and deliberately mutilates the people of Gaza, keeping them in an open-air slaughterhouse. This machine, which indiscriminately bombs and massacres Rafah, which it designated as a safe zone. This machine that drinks the blood of our people while it preys upon the marginalized communities that they actively dispossess to be used as cannon fodder and poster children. Finding that it must evolve to stay relevant in an increasingly revolutionary climate, the university resorts to tokenizing the very students whose liberation it works to prevent. Diversity, equity, and inclusion do not absolve murder. We reject the use of black and brown people to gratify and legitimize the Zionist regime and the diversification of slaughter. Gaza cannot be alone in sacrifice. And so let me reaffirm how honored we are to put our education on the line for the liberation of Palestine. The repression we are seeing proves that the student movement has brought the empire to its knees. The students have shown that their steadfastness is an existential threat to the impressive, genocidal Zionist state of Israel. We as SJP call on you to bring Gaza into every classroom. Reject the colonial notions of time and place. Gaza is connected to every lesson, no matter the discipline. The development of our revolutionary thought cannot be confined to the classroom. The struggle is our most valuable professor, and we must commit fully to a free Palestine, standing proudly and with full integrity by any means necessary. For Gaza, we will fight. Students of the world, unite. For Gaza, we will fight. Students of the world, unite. We stand by Rafah side by side. The students are the red line. We stand by Rafah side by side. The students are the red line.
My name is Tino, and I'm here with the DC Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. Today marks 245 days of massacre, a genocide of the Palestinian people, a genocide that has taken the lives of thousands, reduced hospitals and schools to rubble. and left millions of people homeless and suffering from starvation. And now, with all eyes on Rafah, they find new ways to try and justify these atrocities. Just this week, an Israeli airstrike on a UN school murdered 40 Palestinians, 14 of which were children. And yet, Genocide Joe Biden would like us to see him as a savior of democracy. He and the rest of the Democrats want us to be afraid of the threat of fascism on the right so much that we turn back to them again in November. But we are not so easily fooled or blinded by empty promises. We see him and all 535 members of Congress the same as always, as cowards, suppressors, as pigs, as racists, militarists, Nazis, and aiders of mass murder. Every person here, hand in arm, linked is symbolic of power we hold as the people. It demonstrates how vital it is for us to come together, as our linked struggle is what forces our enemy to concede. The fight against Zionism and all contempt for the people of our world. It's the same fight against the crooked cops here in DC, currently watching us from a distance in this moment of struggle, looking for the next person to brutalize, harass, and to wrongfully arrest. This is a fight against the U.S. imperialist empire until our dreams of liberation is our reality. By the powerful words of Audre Lorde, without community, there is no liberation. We are here together because we understand to break free from these oppressive structures, to achieve true freedom, it takes all our collective efforts. The DMV is a community, and this is what it means to unify a community. The DC Alliance is a united front of progressive grassroots organizations building to gain community control over the police. The city of DC has reached over 3,500 sworn-in members of MPD with 600 civilian employees. These cops say they are here to protect and serve, but spend their time harassing and brutalizing the masses. We in the Alliance aim to strip the oppressive power away from the police and place it back into the hands of the people. We must unite our organizations, the student movements, the working and oppressed people. For we mean to fight these Zionists, these racists, these capitalists, and progress through the struggle. I say this wholly. I urge every one of you listening to join the DC Alliance or any local movement on the United Front and push for our autonomy. Revolutionary unity is the great goal of the working class. This past May 19th, we commemorated the revolutionary struggle on African and Palestinian Liberation Day. Here in the city of DC, 54 years prior, we celebrated the same true unity. I leave you all with the words of the late Elbert Howard. We involve the community. It's about helping each other. One more time, comrades. Ain't no power. Ain't no power. Like the power of the people. Ain't no power. Ain't no power like the power of the people. Thank you all. Keep fighting.
This poem is for Palestine. They put their kids to sleep, not knowing if they will witness those morning kisses again. Such are the mothers of Palestine. They stare a little longer into the eyes, not knowing if they would live to see another day, watching them play. Such are the fathers of Palestine. They hug their mamas, their babas a little tighter, not knowing if they will feel the warmth of their hugs again. Such are the children of Palestine. They bleed, they cry, they fall, they fight to defend their land, to defend their families, to defend what's left of their life, with nothing but rocks in their hands and faith in their heart. Protesting with their voices, chanting slogans with strength and smiles on their faces. Such are the people of Palestine. Their blood still throbbing in veins, bodies still warm, eyes still carrying the dream of free land, until that final breath turns them cold and glassy. Yet still hoping, still waiting, help would arrive any time now. As the leaders just watch, the people just watch, the world just watches in silence. We had all eyes on Rafah. We did not look away. They still burned and beheaded the innocent, showing us who they are today. Oh Rafah, we could not save you from burning. They lied and torched you in safe land. While you slept dreaming of free Palestine, they turned your babies to dust and sand. Tell me how they are going to justify this time. How are they going to bring you all back to life? I have no more faith left in this world. This humanity is witnessing the end of times. I feel numb watching this world burn. I feel lost not knowing how to feel anymore. This anger and rage in me roars. Every day nothing changes but words. The images of this Holocaust are burned in my mind, leaving permanent scars on humanity. I can never look at humans the same again. How is this world still spinning? With innocent blood shed every second, cries falling on deaf ears, men, women, children living a nightmare. And the saddest part of all this is there are a few who still are justifying this massacre. Thank you. Friends, I know we're all scattered to find shade, but there are still thousands of us here just in this park alone as I'm looking out at you all. There are tens of thousands still circling the White House. And we are not done here. We're not done for today. We're gonna keep it going on the other side with the People's Tribunal at 4 o'clock. Yeah. So me and Eugene are gonna close it out here, but we hope to see you all on the other side. Yes. And you know, the most vile thing about all of this is that Biden, the White House, could actually draw a red line. They could make one literal phone call and end all of this. All of the death and destruction that we've seen. They could end it, but they won't. They refuse to. But too bad for them, the people won't give up. That's right. We will not give up. That's right. We've been saying it since October. We're saying it 8 months on, and we will never, ever, ever give up. That's right. That's right. Not until there's a permanent ceasefire. Not until there's an end to the siege on Gaza. Not until all of our Palestinian political prisoners are free. Not until the end of the occupation. And not until the full liberation of Palestine. That's right. It's our duty to not give up, to keep it going. All of you here today, you've come from all over the place, on buses or trains or planes or what have you. Maybe you came early to make sure that you're here on time. Maybe you brought people with you. Maybe you've helped with volunteering or supplies. But we have shown that the people united truly won't be defeated. That's right. We have shown that the most important thing is to stay organized, to stay plugged in, to stay with it, to remind ourselves and our comrades if we forget that we must push forward. We must carry the struggle forward. We must commit to it and better ourselves and commit to organization and to working towards a better future for people in this city, for the people of New York, for the people of California, for the people of Florida, for the people of Gaza, and for the people of Palestine. So like I said, we won't stop here. Wherever you are from, if it's from the area or from around, get involved, plug in with organizations, but don't let up. And don't let up on the people's red line. Wherever these complicit and guilty politicians and institutions go, we will bring the red line to them. Are you with me? Are you with me?
I also just want to remind you about the campaign that was mentioned earlier that's been launched to take down Maersk, the shipping company that is the largest shipper of weapons to the Israeli occupation army. If you have a phone, take out a phone. If you have a pen or whatever, you need to write it down. Just try to remember it. Easy to remember. maskoffmaersk.com. That's M-A-E-S-E-R-S-K. M-A-E-R-S-K. maskoffmaersk.com. Get involved in the Mask Off Maersk campaign that the Palestinian youth movement has launched and is calling on all of us to push forward over the rest of the summer. 4 o'clock today in the Ellipse, that's the other side of the White House. We're gonna have expert witnesses come and expose the Zionist regime and their genocide in Gaza and the People's Tribunal. We can't forget, as Malcolm X said, the Zionist project for the occupation of Palestine has no intelligent or legal basis in history. That will be exposed here at 4 o'clock. Their crimes will be laid out here at 4 o'clock. We will live stream them to the world here at 4 o'clock. And we will continue over the rest of the summer to draw the people's red line. I don't care what Biden says. I don't care what Netanyahu does when he comes to Congress. When we come together as the people, they are powerless. We have the power, people power, worker power. Unions are standing up. People are standing up. The national liberation movements are standing up. Tomorrow in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, they will be flooding the streets in solidarity with Palestine. Today in London, in Paris, in Manchester, in Palestine, in Madrid, they have stood up. In Accra, Ghana, they have stood up. Recently in Senegal, where a mass movement of people has changed their country, the new prime minister said, "We stand with Palestine until liberation." In Sudan, even in the midst of a civil war, people are expressing solidarity with Palestine. A comrade of mine, an Omdurman in the center of the Sudanese war, said to me just a month ago, the struggle against US imperialism, the struggle for Palestine, and the struggle to end the war in Sudan, same struggle, same fight. Thank you all. I'm Eugene from the Answer Coalition. It was my honor to be here alongside Lamise from the Palestinian Youth Movement, and my deep honor to be with you here today. Go help us continue to surround the White House. We'll see you at the Ellipse at 4 o'clock. Free, free Palestine!
We are here to reject Western imposed militarization all over the world, from Korea to the Philippines to Palestine, Sudan, Congo. All our struggles are linked to imperialism, and all our struggles are linked together. Everything we learn from Palestine, we must apply to the rest of the world. Palestine and this movement is freeing many of us from individualism, from consumerism, from propaganda. It's changing us to our core. We invite you to get connected with Asians for Palestine, with all the wonderful organizations holding this rally right here
shot and paralyzed by the armed forces of the Philippines. Well, that is an example of what we call counterinsurgency. Now, I organize at the University of Maryland in College Park, where there are constant police presence, police at checkpoints at night, and police who show up every single time students try to chalk a message that says something about free Palestine or free Gaza or something like that. The police checkpoint started after they saw this chalking over there. Every single time there is some sort of this chalking, they come at us and ask us, well, we need to be sure this is okay so that the school doesn't get bad attention. When that happened to me that night, I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, this is the first time I've ever experienced that sort of actual counterinsurgency and repression right in my face. And that's the reality of student activists all over the country right now. When it comes to Palestine, but I'm sure should the Filipino organizations and iChirp and whatnot start doing more actions, which we did in action at UMD actually, they'll experience the same sort of counterinsurgency. Speaking of which, when Chirp did our action and we tried the flyer at a graduation, we weren't told to get out. We were escorted by police actually out of there. It was to help out the Palestinians with divestment because, of course, cutting off military aid from defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman helps everyone because those weapons are given to the Philippines, as you'd expect. And you have to ask yourself, why does the biggest public campus closest to DC have partnerships with Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin? Why do they have these and they don't have air conditioners in dorms or even basic dorm conditions, and yet give Lockheed Martin a floor in this really fancy building? You have to ask yourself why that is. And the reason for that is because they're in bed with these defense contractors. The University of Maryland, the entire Board of Regents is headed and chaired by the former ex-vice president of Lockheed Martin. That's right. And additionally, here's a factoid for you. The University of Maryland in College Park gives more employees to the defense industry in the U.S. than any other. And the defense industry cannot function without employees. That means that the University of Maryland is contributing more than any other school and contributing more employees than any other school to the defense industry. So how does that connect back to Brandon Lee in the counterinsurgency I talked about? Well, why do you think the cops at UMD have this suppression? Okay. So why do you think the University of Maryland has this repression? It's because without these defense contractors and this defense money, that the defense industry could not function. Without University of Maryland, the defense industry could not function properly. That's the fact of the matter. And there will be more Brandon Lees as we keep on going. And there will be some at UMD if this continues. Free Palestine.
I am with Vandila. We're a Filipino solidarity organization based in Baltimore and a member organization of Friends of the Filipino People in Struggle, also known as Friends of the National Democratic Front of the Philippines. I recently went to Brussels to participate in the International People's Tribunal, which was held as a people's court to address the war crimes of the fascist ex-President Duterte, current President Puppet Marcos Jr., and Biden as the representative of the United States of the government. The verdict found all three individuals guilty of many international humanitarian law violations and, in short, just guilt of war crimes, similar crimes that Netanyahu and the Israeli state commit. Crimes of indiscriminate bombings of citizens, of children, tagging individuals en masse as part of rebel groups in order to justify their murder, the desecration of bodies and dehumanizing of people, scare tactics, surveillance, kidnapping, torture. All of these things are experienced both in Palestine and the Philippines under the umbrella of counterinsurgency and with the refusal to acknowledge or address the roots of the turmoil. With these conditions in mind, we must not only understand why the people in Palestine or the Philippines take up arms in order to resist, but support it. It is their only option if they are to see a genuine freedom, genuine peace, and independence within their lifetime, or to die knowing the youth will be able to carry on those aspirations into a reality soon enough. It is their only alternative to starvation, to disease, to state neglect, and the only effective response to state-sponsored terrorism after all other efforts have been exhausted. As individuals here, in a place to stand in solidarity with the people of the Philippines and of Palestine, we must also see how the United States is sponsoring state terrorism, both here and abroad. The crimes committed against oppressed people, against the Filipinos in the countryside, against the people in Gaza and the West Bank, against our own neighbors, are all crimes committed against every single one of us. Money that came from the people should be going to public services like education, like transportation, or healthcare, but it's being misused by a corrupt and dying system as funding for genocidal regimes and fascist dictatorships. These governments will never hold themselves or each other accountable. And how can an international body overwhelmingly controlled by the United States, like the United Nations, truly enforce any ruling not in favor of itself or its allies? We see how the United States votes no. We see how the House of Representatives is pushing for sanctions on the ICC. We saw how Reagan let Marcos Sr. take refuge here after his dictatorship. We saw how aggressively the United States military continued to invade Vietnam despite the outcry of the people around the world. This is why we hold people's courts, like this one that I went to and the one that will be happening later tonight for Palestine. We hold them because we need to take it into our own hands to be heard. The lives of people who were lost, who still deserve justice, and those who survived the vicious onslaughts need to be heard. The power of the masses, organized and indestructible, has shown itself over and over again to be the strongest force and will show itself again today. Resistance is not only justified, but imperative when facing an enemy as daunting as your exploiter, as colossal as imperialism. The only way for a people to be free is to overturn the system that was created to oppress the majority and in favor of the greedy minority. To make it so the majority, the masses, have a true say in their government, they must do what is necessary. They must take political power and build a system for themselves. From Palestine to the Philippines, to all countries under the foot of imperialism, from the masses of the United States to the masses of the world, we must stand together against our common enemy. So with that, down with U.S. imperialism, down with the war machine, down with impunity, and hold the U.S. Marcos regime and the U.S.-backed Israeli fascists accountable for their war crimes against the people.
Hey guys, I'm Chris. I'm with Anak Bayan Moko. Before we start, I want to ask you a question. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe! Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe! Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe! Amazing. We, as Anak Bayan Moko, stand in solidarity with our Palestinian siblings, understanding the impacts of U.S. militarism, of mass killings, and of the countless consequences of Western imperialism. The Filipino government, the Marcos dictatorship, uses the same American-made weapons against Filipino peasants activists, and workers that the U.S. provides to the Zionist state of Israel to use against Palestinians in Gaza. We understand the history of state repression and carry on the legacy of the resistance. For the people and by the people against the forces of American imperialism. We understand that as youth leaders from previous movements like the People Power movements, the urgency of opposing Duterte's drug war and the reign of Marcos' dictatorship. We all have the duty to stand in solidarity with our allies and the importance of combating hateful, genocidal statements and sentiments and crimes against our Palestinian allies. We must recognize that the Filipino people's struggle is interlinked with the Palestinian struggle against U.S. imperialism. This government that allies with Israel is the same government that persecutes activists, criminalizes the poor, and enables the export of Filipino labor to Israel to replace Palestinians in a genocidal logic. We must organize our communities not just to oppose the hierarchical division of labor, but also for our Palestinian comrades who the Zionist state seeks to exterminate and replace with our workers. Our kababayan in Jollibee Wheaton are experiencing workplace violence, losing their jobs, and being targeted simply for advocating for themselves. Western imperialists want us to believe that fighting for our self-determination is a crime deserving of ethnic cleansing and mass killings, both for Palestinians and Filipinos in our homelands and here in the belly of the beast. The roots of dehumanization of all people relate back to the basic problems that we fight as a national democratic movement. Neoliberalism, alongside bureaucratic capitalism, U.S. imperialism, and modern feudalism all work in tandem to alienate us from our own communities. Look around you. You're here because your convictions brought you here. The people that surround you right now believe the same things that you do. Simple, basic truths that our boon and our burden as human beings is that we must rely on each other. This is your community. This is what organizing you and the people around you can do. So join an organization, and if there isn't one in your area, make one. Yeah! As a member of AB MoCo, our work with the Justice for Jollibee Workers campaign has empowered me and shown me how our presence can affect our community. Since October, and even before then, people like you and me have taken to the streets and made their voices heard. And because of that, the powers that be are scared. We did that! Yeah! We want that! We want a free Palestine, as we all can barely survive under the U.S. war machine. Because none of us are free until we all are! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Thank you.
Hello mga kasama. I join you today as a newly organized member of Gabriella DC, a grassroots organization advancing the militant women's movement in the Philippines and around the world. Today we join the call of the United Palestinian Resistance for a permanent ceasefire, an end to all U.S. aid to the Israeli apartheid regime, the release of all Palestinian prisoners, and an end to the occupation. Yeah! A child of the diaspora, I was forced to migrate from Cebu, Philippines with my mother and siblings to escape violence at home. Violence spread by U.S. imperialism and militarization that spreads in our communities and in homes like a toxic disease. Shame! Shame! Filipino people experience extreme U.S. militarization to this day, with the largest balikatan, which is shoulder-to-shoulder military exercise in the region this year, worth billions of U.S. military aid, We know that increased military activity in the communities surrounding the U.S. bases is a threat to the safety, human rights, and well-being of Filipinos, and alarmingly an increase in violence against women and children. We draw strength from the shared struggle of Palestine and the Philippines and their victories against imperialism. We see that imperialist forces use the language terror to justify war crimes, dominate, and massacre our people. We vehemently reject this propaganda by our governments that has led to the neo-colonialism of the Philippines and the occupation of Palestine. We firmly stand alongside our Palestinian siblings fighting for the genuine liberation, not only because it is our duty to be anti-imperialist and internationalist, but also as women whose liberation is tied to the liberation of all oppressed people in society. Filipino resilience since time immemorial flows through our blood. We commit to educating, organizing, and mobilizing Filipino women towards a movement for just and lasting peace in the Philippines and for a free Palestine. Ang tao, ang bayan! Hello all! I'm here today representing Anti-Imperialist Action at UMBC. This summer, we have linked with many of you gathered here to oppose the annual convening of the world's largest military alliance, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. This July, right here in DC. AIA sees right through NATO's supposed purpose to guarantee freedom and safety in the North Atlantic region. NATO is an arm of U.S. imperialism and U.S.-led wars of aggression. It has spread its military reach far beyond Europe, making partnerships with nations across the globe. NATO's influence and presence is creeping across Eastern Europe and throughout Asia in order to encircle the countries that the U.S. sees as the biggest threats to its entire control, Russia and China. We are here with the Resist NATO Coalition to name NATO as what it truly is, an attack dog to assert U.S. political and economic domination through military force, threatening the lives and well-being of the exploited and oppressed masses from Palestine to the Philippines and all people across the world. In real time, we are witnessing the imperialists' last-ditch effort to consolidate their power through the only ways they know how: brutality, censorship, psychological warfare to deceive the masses. However, a historic wave of internationalist unity among people's resistance movements stands as a bastion against unhindered militarization of the world. Since 2012, with the announcement of its pivot to Asia strategy, U.S. NATO has continuously identified China as one of the key threats to its hegemony. NATO's international presence betrays its true oppressive nature. It has expanded far beyond the North Atlantic region to monitor U.S. interests in the Indo-Pacific. The Philippines, as one of the countries making up an area known as the First Island Chain, is facing the exploitation of its people, its land, its water, as a massive military base to serve as a launching pad for an inter-imperialist war between the U.S. and China. Nuclear weapons, tanks, arms, and soldiers from the U.S. are all being stored in the Philippines. And if an all-out war does break out, then it won't be the U.S. that suffers. It will instead be the Filipino people. The fisherfolk, whose waters get polluted by warships. The farmers in the countryside, who are already being bombed. The women and children who are always victimized the most by war. The impact of U.S.-NATO proxy wars can be seen in Ukraine, where attempts at peace talks crumbled under NATO's continuous push for militarism. And we refuse to have the Philippines used as another pawn for their game. Not only does NATO incite wars, but they also actively target any resistance struggles that challenge U.S. imperialism through their counter-terror pillar. Through it, our national liberation struggles are labeled as terrorist, as the highest threat to NATO's goal of backing U.S. interests. But you know who's not considered terrorist to NATO? The genocidal Israeli state. the Philippine government that routinely steals from its people. By forging NATO partnerships with genocidal governments, the U.S. shows just how much it is willing to enable the Israeli occupation and genocide of Palestine, and in abuses of power by the AFP, all to make a profit and create more attack dogs for U.S. interests. Why else would Genocide Joe refuse to recognize the 40,000 plus martyrs in Palestine, or the war crimes that the Marcos regime is committing against its own people? As resistance movements are justly fighting back against the advance of imperialism and colonialism in these exploited countries, so are we in the belly of the beast. From July 9th to the 11th, NATO will be holding a summit right here in DC. The U.S. will be trying to expand its imperialist influence, especially in the Asia-Pacific region. But will we let them get away with dragging the people of the world into yet another war? No! Will we allow them to keep profiting at the expense of our lives? No! The Resist NATO Coalition's mission is to expose NATO for what it really is. We will be holding our own counter summit and mobilization on July 6th to 7th. And if you want to be a part of the planning, there are still plenty of committees left to join. Join us on July 6th to 7th. Join us on July 6th to 7th here in DC, because when we get organized, the masses have so much more power than our corrupt governments could even imagine. Yeah! Woo! Join us so we can scare these warmongers out of Palestine and the Philippines. The land must be freed from the grip of the imperialists, because it's the only way we can free all of our people. Imperialismo y Palestine! Thank you. Let's call the student chancellor! We want your investments canceled! We want your investments canceled! Let's call the student chancellor! We want your investments canceled! We want your investments canceled! Our administrations have forced us to turn to each other for safety and solidarity. And we've taught ourselves more in the last 8 months than their fancy institutions ever have. Students have also begun to escalate over the past couple months with encampments and occupations of buildings spreading across the nation. These acts of defiance against our university's complicity in the genocide have reached the people in Gaza and renewed all of our strength and motivation. We draw on the resilience of our people and our resistance, and we must not let this moment pass. We are the revolution. As students, we are at the front lines of the fight for Palestine, and we must not become comfortable with the change that we've made thus far. We must continue to escalate and pressure and demand divestment, because the lives of our people depend on it. The students have made the world proud, and we must continue to prove that it is possible to create material change. As we join the nation's Redline today, we will continue to organize nationally in coordination while also locally on our own campuses. We will not rest until we divest and until Palestine is free. I'm a student from GW, and today marks 1 month since our Shuhada Square was swept, and over 30 students were brutalized and arrested by our administration. As DMV SJP, students in the belly of the beast, we learn from revolutionary education, and we aim to turn our education into material change. Our education has mainly come not from our schools, whose goal is to turn their students into laborers for their exploitive system, but from our community, from each other, and from Palestinians in the global movement. We united to liberate University Yard at GW, renamed Shuhada Square, as an act of emancipating our educational institutions from Zionist hands. In Shuhada Square, we brought the classroom to the community and learned and grew together as we faced head-on the violent and repressive administrators and their genocide-supporting backers. As a collective,
the popular university at GW rejected the Zionist-infected education that we've all been forced to receive, rejected the demonization of DMV students who speak up against genocide, and rejected the capitalist institutions which turn our youth into cogs in the imperialist machine. The encampments showed the world that escalation is the necessary next step in our fight for liberation. We know that our demands won't be met unless we force their hands, and we have seen that every victory on campuses across the nation has come only through the escalatory tactics that students have used. Every tactic we use is an effort to resist by any means necessary, and every attempt to silence us only reinforces our drive to disrupt the system. We refuse to be complicit as our tuition money is invested into companies that facilitate war, violence, and genocide across the world. Our administrations forgot that they work for us, that they are in their roles to carry out the will of the students, and the students are demanding divestment. We will not allow our universities, supposedly centers for learning and making change, to fund the annihilation of our people. We will not allow our universities to unleash IOF-trained cops on students who dissent. We will not allow them to hide behind DEI initiatives while brutalizing Black and brown community members. And we will never give up. We will win because the students and the people are fighting for the just cause of liberation. Liberation is in our hands, and the encampment at GW was an example of how we can take it back and grow into communities of care, respect, and freedom. We must channel what we learned and felt in Shuhadat Square off our campuses and into the broader nation, where billions of dollars are being funneled directly into the hands of a genocidal terrorist government. The goal remains the same. If we directly target the machines that help the genocide function, we can hit them where it hurts, their pockets, and create material change. Our people's steadfastness, their sumud, is what drives us. We know we are in a pivotal moment to rewrite history, and the student intifada will not rest until our universities end all ties to the Zionist state, and until total liberation. Free Palestine!